right, welcome. Today is Tuesday, May 6th, to the regular meeting of the East Lyme Inland Wetlands Agency. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so we'll start. There's no additions to the agenda. Public delegations is the time when members of the public are invited to speak to the commission about certain matters, issues, or concerns related to approved wetland permits, and in-house proposals or general topics of discussion are open to a comment. Agenda items, referrals, applications subject to decision by the commission. The public hearing or litigation may not be discussed. The members of the commission will not directly answer questions or make comments during delegations. Anyone here for that? No. Okay. No public hearings tonight. Next would be acceptance of the meeting minutes from April 1st, 2025. Do I hear a motion to accept the regular meeting minutes from April 1st?
Make a motion to accept the minutes from April 1st.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
John, is that you too?
I
Yes.
was not here. I will abstain.
Okay. One abstain for. Ex officio report, Ann?
Hi, Ann Cichello, ex officio from the Board of Selectmen. Basically, we've been just working on the budget. There was a public hearing, I think like a week ago now, and the budget has been finalized, so it's going to town meeting on May 12th, and then from there, it should go to referendum. The voting for the referendum is Thursday, May 22nd, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the East Lyme Community Center. So I'm really encouraging everybody to go out and vote for the budget, because the more people that vote, the better a result we will have and response. That's really about it. I don't know if anybody has any questions for me.
Were you able to have any discussions with the selectmen about the buses and the potential for that property that's in that construction zone?
So it was over by Costco that people were talking. So I spoke to Joe Brigard just briefly, and they were saying that it's something they can look into, but he thought it was right under, there was an aquifer right there, so that was their concern. I'm not quite sure. Does that sound right, Gary? That's what they were saying, and I don't know.
I guess it's not inaccurate to say that the aquifer protection area is over that zone and that vicinity. That this where the temporary commuter lot currently is within that area, that DDA area. That being said, if you take a look at Costco and the location of the gas station, it's literally just on the other side of the line on the map. I believe if you actually looked at the soils, right, they're going to be contiguous, kind of, well, up into the river. That being said, it's no different than the Costco parking lot, True Value parking lot, and all the parking lots that are within the ADA. It's a parking lot for buses, so I don't know why that would preclude it.
Okay.
So
Well, I can speak to them some more.
That might require some additional engineering in terms of water quality and water infrastructure, but I don't see why it would preclude it because we've permitted in the past. So.
Okay. So then the other thing was, and I think it depends on what happens with the budget, they were thinking about trying, depending if everything goes through on the budget, to try to move the school buses maybe over on, what's the road that the dump is on?
Roxbury Road?
Roxbury. I knew it was an R. I just couldn't think of the name of it. Roxbury Road, somewhere over near Care and Share, exactly. So I'm not quite sure what they're going to do, but it is being spoken about, and I will follow up again and see if I can get any other information on that.
We had the old fueling station there.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I don't know if that still exists
There may be, okay, I'll ask. Yeah, well, they're trying to build some kind of other storage facility, and then that would, I guess they're trying to get a lot of the vehicles inside, so to prevent vehicles from, like, being damaged from, like, the elements in the winter and everything. So they're trying to build something else and then kind of move everything around. But I don't know if it is stayed in the budget, because I know the Board of Finance cut some funds. So it's all kind of up in the air at this point. So it depends on what happens with the referendum. So, but I will stay on top of that.
Okay.
For
Yeah,
sure.
just, if you could just provide us with some updates, with something we're kind of tracking, just.
Yep,
for
for
our
sure.
awareness.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any other questions?
No? Okay, great.
Thank
Thank you.
So next under new business is an inland wetlands permit number 21/001, request for an extension to permit number 21, TAC 001, North Rybrook Road, map 24, lot 76, application of Harvest Christian Fellowship of Niantic for the construction of a church, paved parking lot, and associated improvements.
So this is pretty straightforward. No work has occurred on the site. Basically, they're ending their permit, which is 5 years.
Has it been 5 years?
In 5 years,
Holy cow.
well, 4.5.
Okay.
So prior to the expiration of this thing, in a few months, we're ahead of the game here, requesting their extension. Commission can extend it anywhere from 5 years down to a year. I don't see any reason not to extend it for the duration. There's a representative here. If you have questions for them, we can answer. I suspect it's a typical, most developments that don't go forward is financial. So for a nonprofit, I suspect that they're raising money. And as well as I think there's a fair amount of, most of the design work was done, so I don't know, maybe there's architectural or things like that that might get finalized as well.
Yeah, I remember this application. We didn't have any concerns with it. We approved it, so.
I think Mr. Leducer, he represents the church, so if you have questions.
Good evening.
Hi.
Tim Leducer, 20 Latimer Drive. I also serve on the Planning Commission as an alternate. I'm not here to speak on behalf of the Planning Commission. I'm here to speak on behalf of Harvest Christian Fellowship. Just an explanation. So we are 90% ready to break grounds. I think for timing's sake, right after we got the approval, we were ready to build. It just financially wasn't possible with the increase in building costs and materials costs. So our leadership decided it was not a good time to start building yet. So we've been accruing money and we're almost ready, but we just need a little bit more time. So we anticipate within the next 2 years that we would like to have a building up there.
Okay.
Any questions?
You own the property, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
We own and we pay taxes on it. We'd like to have a place of worship there so we don't have to pay taxes on it, obviously, but we can't. So we have been paying taxes on it the last 5 years.
Yeah, I think, so standard is, do you guys, anyone have any questions? No. I think 5 years is standard what you would do for,
But you could, you could extend it out to the 5 years, but I think you're going to be at least 2.
yeah,
You're not looking at 5.
Right.
Obviously, at the end of 5, they will have to, if they're not completed with the work, they have to redo the
yep, okay.
I suspect.
All right.
Done before.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So do we need to take a vote on that, make a
Yes.
motion?
Make a motion to extend inland wetland permit 21001 for the Harvest Christian Fellowship of Niantic for construction of a church and a paved parking lot and associated improvement for 5 years extended.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
It's everybody. All right, thank you. No new pending applications. Old business, inland wetlands watercourse regulations. I did see an email the last hour. I didn't fully read it.
Yes, so I can pull that up. calendar days, it's fine, but the inland wetland days you might consider adding to the definition that while calendar days includes holidays and weekend days, the deadline for some act or action to occur falls on a holiday or weekend, the deadline is extended to the next business day. So that might be some language we want to add. This is the usual legal rule. It prevents someone from being penalized for failing to file something on the day when that inland fee is closed. Page 54, definition of repairing a buffer. We should consider clarifying the person or entity that a conservation easement will be granted to is in favor of the town. The regulations should state this. Page 61, section 6.2 refers to section 2.1. Why, however, the draft they received does not contain this reference section. Okay. Page 84, section 18.2, the draft requires proof that all property taxes are current. Agency should check with the tax collector's office regarding how this might be conveniently accomplished, and whether the tax collector has a form or is willing to issue letters to applicants. The wetland agency should also consider whether this requirement should be relaxed a bit to accommodate people who owe back taxes but who have a payment plan in place with the tax collector and are current on the payment plan. Such people would not be able to get a permit under the current payment plan. Subdivision regs. So take a closer look at those sections. Make some corrections, fix the pagination, obviously would probably help significantly. And I have to follow up on that section 6.2 to see why there's no reference, what the reference was meant to be or not being added. But that's not, considering those are pretty lengthy changes, that's not bad, I guess, coming back one time.
Yeah, right. No, that's true. I was worried maybe we'd get more.
So I didn't know that I actually have this to talk about this evening, but being that we do, I guess I'll work on that, and then hopefully the next meeting I can get these things corrected.
Yeah, so you have like a redlined copy that we're gonna have to have the public hearing based on, right? So like our next step then, if we could all see that redlined copy at a meeting when you finish making these changes, and then we can discuss and then go to public hearing the following meeting.
Yeah, he would.
I mean, I'm not saying like next month, but like when you can get to this. And
I mean, this really shouldn't take too long, I don't think. I should be able to have that done before the next meeting. So I suspect you'll see that red line copy, and then you could anticipate scheduling the public hearing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Awesome, good. Yeah, so we'll just discuss that when we get the updates.
Yeah, so that's progress. I'm sure it's been 5 months since January.
Yeah, I know, the turnover.
So we're good there.
So then I have nothing for chairman's report, so we can discuss it later. The inland wetland agent report, the Connecticut Department of Transportation Mitigation Plan, the Rocky Neck.
Yeah, that's in the, I think I mentioned it, but just, and I receiving the packet. I attended last week, workshop out there with the Nature Conservancy. I think gave us little stuff, everything we're going to do. Try to do, they're really in the design idea phase, so if you have ideas as to how they can improve. They want to improve the flow into the marsh, because the stream there was getting clogged in the 70s. So back in, I think it was the late 80s, 90s, they put in the box culvert that's there now at the east end of the site. I think most of you may be familiar, you have the boardwalk that walks under the bridge tunnel, and the don't swim sign there, which seems to be the issue that they want to try to correct, is the bacterial levels in that portion of the stream are super high. So we're looking for different ideas as to, I guess, control that, improve it, as well as deal with the beach erosion, where they're losing, I guess, yards of sand a year. If you look at the boardwalk that's there now, you can see where the beach kind of just is eroded out from under it and washed out from underneath it, and you're starting to see the pilings. So what's the long-term plan for maintenance there? It's going to be trucking sand from down south. They're not there. So these are all the things the state's looking at. Certainly impacts the town, as it's one of the largest, second most attended state park in Connecticut. So definitely a well.
Something like this.
Yeah,
No.
report on, but certainly if anything comes up and you all want to take a tour or get a, I'm sure the Nature's Conservancy would be more than happy to accommodate that. PR purposes. So, that's all I have on that. Notes in terms of permits. I've issued 3. 118 Pennsylvania Ave. Pennsylvania Ave is right here for some new EV chargers off our parking lot. 142 Roxbury Road, 10/16 shed, park lane, not what I said, not 22.
You need a wetlands permit for electric vehicle charging stations?
Yeah, the underground utilities require excavation.
Oh.
So, I mean, it's minor, that's what I figured and it was up here, not down by
Yeah.
the pond, so, yeah, it just falls within the 300 foot. Do I need to get one?
Yeah.
So those are the permits issued, last month. And then in your packet, I also gave you, 2 reports, one on 286 Flanders Road for the restoration work that was undertaken just last month. See from the pictures, I think the work came out well. The gully has been filled. Fence was working along with the catch basin. Note on page 3, bottom left photograph. I did my best. I have a good video of
Oh,
this.
wow.
There's a bit of flow, and that erosion control line is kind of acting like a curve. So I think as that fills in with grass, it's going to be a curve. So I think they need a course of like crushed stone on that gravel,
Yeah. Keep it down.
because it's all compacted gravel. It's slowly eroding out just with this. So
Were they able to get a lot of that soil out of the wetland area?
I have to go back and take a look at the work that they did. You can see at the bottom of the total slope, there's still fence there, and they seeded and stabilized that. So I think they've taken a lot of that material out. That was a lot of root crap, heavy material right in that spot. And then I got to walk through the woods just to check to
Can
see
you-
what lines are left.
Can you I'm having trouble because I've never been to the site, and I remember seeing on a map where you showed where stuff was running. But can you I don't know, orient me? These pictures are.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
I mean, I know this one I can see because it's Costco in the background, so I know that's that road.
This is the dog park
But-
at the top, so I don't know that any of us actually saw that.
Sorry.
So at the top of the property is where the problem was originating from, where the dog park was. So he has the water flowing around that now instead of over it. So it was supposed to flow into a detention basin.
So if you look at the aerial above, you'll see there's the dog park is right here, this area here.
Okay.
You'll see behind it, there's a trench. That was existing. They put that in with the dog park. So you'll see there's a picture of that existing trench. Should be, yeah, the first one, the left-hand side. See, it's kind of well vegetated, just like grass.
Okay.
So they basically wrapped that around, came down the side of the slope, and the side of the dog park, and outlet that swale into the road for my cursor is that little basin.
So that's it. This is at the top of
This is
the hill.
the basin.
Yeah.
Basin shows
Okay.
up there. So that swell now just going down, exits here. There was a bit of, in this area where they've got, coming back along this kind of dirt path, they got this one strip of erosion control blanket, which is great, but it's not enough to cover the entire area. You can see from on page 3, the top left-hand picture, shows that whole area still. There was seed down there, they tried to seed it, but if you look close, it's pretty I don't say cobbly, but it's pebbly. So I think they need a couple inches of topsoil. from the grass onto the sidewalk. I have a video of that, and there's probably a good half-inch of water just flowing down the sidewalk. So then it's gonna exit the sidewalk to the bottom of the hill, probably create a erosion problem there as well. So I'll go back probably tomorrow. It's raining, next 3 days of rain, so when this event's over, I should have some good evidence as far as what's going on there. So, well, at least we got progress on that. The next report I have is on the Twin Valley subdivision. Kristen had reached out to me and indicated her concerns about clearing because there's specific criteria in the wetlands approval or
Yeah, there's conditions that were,
on the clearing. I had conversations with Olivera from UG Homes. So I had asked him, I contacted him and I said, can you give us a status update as to the clearing and what's remaining. So he did provide us a plan here and an email report in the packet. That narrative. I would say I was up at the site yesterday. The picture that you see in this photograph are from that site visit. The construction entrance, emergency access way, as you can see, there's water on the other side of the silt fence. Looks like they put in a wood chip berm to try to better control that. We're going to have to do something else there, and those ruts adjacent to the silt fence need to get filled back. So we're trying to get narrowed. The other photos, as you move on to the site, you'll see they've got the blind reports down on the road. We'll quick look at that. So page 2, top right photo. As you get toward the end of the road, I believe that's down along the cul-de-sac. So the bottom of page 2, second photo down on the left-hand side, just behind the location I took the photo, top right. Follow through. I kept moving backwards. I picked up the fire hydrant, the other one, and the entire cul-de-sac. The bottom right picture are the 3 lots in the direction, I believe the 3. Yeah, those are. I'm sorry, that's on the left side.
Deeper.
And of course, you can see the house that's being under construction on page 3. You got a silt sack and the catch basin there. Obviously, that's a low point. Silt sack will have to remain. I think those stormwater pipes are actually constructed under the road and discharging on what would be lot 1. I don't know that they formally constructed the basin. We did meet with the town engineer and Mr. Lekowski was the neighbor. He's asked and requested the builder could plant along the road frontage along the property. Note in the plans there's a 5-foot easement that abuts the road for street trees all the way up until this corner here, mainly because his property line continues straight on. So they put the road right adjacent to it. And because the developer didn't have control of this lot, there's no 5-foot street tree easement. There's the existing vegetation here, although sparse. So after talking to Mr. Lekowski and Alex, our engineer, we agreed that the town would allow them to put street trees in the town right away easement to provide a visual buffer. So I'm going to talk with Mr. Olivera and the company and see if we can't get them just to extend and plant several more trees along this area. I think it'll go a long way to making friends, making neighbors. We've talked about their desire to remove this basin and EG Homes. At the same time, we required it because there was a run of a road here where the stormwater wasn't being treated. Town engineer says he's open to other alternatives, and and other means, and felt that we probably should have just discharged this into the street, like the road, that was the original proposal. The wetland agency didn't like that because it would let this portion of the road of the stormwater untreated, and thus we have this basin. So he said, that's fine, I can build it, I'm not saying it's not gonna work, I think he felt it was a bit over. So I said, nonetheless, whether they build the basin or not, you can't build a home there. So it would be a home lot, so I will mention to EV Homes that they could consider redesigning this. I don't know that they will now that they've got the catch basins in, particularly this pipe at the end of the cul-de-sac, I'm sorry, the entrance here, and it's, I know they've got that installed. So, I mean, they could plug it up and block it off. I mean, it's just easy. And, we'll see what they want to do. I think the neighbor would like to see them just lawn this and loam it. And they kind of said, unfortunately, they want to clear it.
Oops.
So, that being the case, that's why I don't think they'll necessarily come back. And the fact that it might open the door to an appeal, if they have to come back for a decision from the commission, they may not want to change it. So,
Okay, so here's my concern about all of this. So the entire property is completely surrounded by water and wetlands. And when the initial application came to the Wetlands Commission, I have meeting minutes from 2018 where Joe Wren said they're proposing a road and creating lots, not seeking approval for building the homes themselves and the site plans. The application is for the infrastructure needed to support the lots. So it was very clear it was the road and the lots. And then he states the site will not be clear-cut and built on at the same time. Each site plan will have to be reviewed and approved by land use as each lot is developed. And instead, every lot was cleared. So all the lots were cleared, but there's only one house currently being built, which somehow is 5 bedrooms and 3,000 square feet, which I don't know how that's being, the water table is so high back there, but I guess obviously the being surrounded by, it was a conservation and development design because of the critical resources surrounding this property, and yet this developer comes in and is able to just clear, I mean, he says there's trees left, there's 20 trees on the entire property left. There's nothing there, it's all mud, and now it's overflowing through the silt fences, destroying the wetlands and the water courses that are right there. Like, I just don't understand how this is able to happen when it was.
I will say that the silt, the only place where we had to reach was on the construction areas, and I got photographs of that. I haven't seen the silt fence anywhere else we've reached. So I don't.
But what if these lots don't sell?
If the lots don't sell, then we have an erosion fill bond that we would use to stabilize it.
But like the infrastructure isn't even in place to manage the water that's there. The road and the basins were supposed to be done first with the infrastructure, and then the lots were supposed to be carefully designed to make sure that it was least invasive as possible.
I mean, from your notes, from the meeting minutes, it seems like, if I was understanding that correctly, that the permit was for the road, not the houses.
Correct.
Correct.
So they were supposed to come back.
So they applied to my office for inland wetland permits for the houses.
Oh,
But only 2 houses so far.
I've only seen 2, yeah. I've got one, this first house I issued the permit for. I have not issued another permit on this road. I've got 4 houses pending.
So then that's why I'm confused why all the lots were cleared, especially the cul-de-sac area where it says they're supposed to have a 3-way shared gravel driveway to limit clearing, and they cleared the whole cul-de-sac area. So what's the point of having a 3-way gravel shared driveway if you're just going to clear it anyway? That's what I just don't understand. There's so much clearing that's been done without any building lots that have been approved. I mean, I know they're lots for building, but there's no site plans or houses designed for those lots, and they just cleared everything.
So they are in violation of their wetlands permit as a result. So we can go ahead and fine them. Or we can go ahead and tell them, you know what, you're gonna, so we're, without getting into a lot of detail, there's no requirement for them to plant these trees along this property line. So because they cleared all of this, I've got leverage at least to say, hey, can you plant some trees here where they're not on the plan, they weren't required? And then we're going to increase the plantings in here along this corner in particular. As for the rest of it, I mean, I can just say, hey, here's, we're going to issue you a fine for clearing the entire thing. We had a pre-construction meeting and we told them not to clear the entire thing. I said, look, you can clear up to probably 5 lots at a time if that's what you're applying for. I've got 4 applications that were approved. That makes sense. But they've gone and cleared more than just
Yeah.
the 5 lots. So that being said, you know, I mean, again, to them, they're going to be out of there next year. I think they plan to build 10 houses this year and then 10 houses next year. So I think their plan is going to just more efficient and easier for them to clear the whole thing, mobilize that at once, cost effectiveness.
Cost effective for them.
And they're aware. I mean, we had the conversations. So
Are they putting trees back on the properties? Because again, I mean, it's just a lot of,
I'd have to look at the
Clear
I mean,
cutting.
If you walk and you drive down this road, I mean, there's a tree here, there's a tree there. It's sparse as far as I suspect that they must have strategically picked the trees that they were going to keep. So I don't know what the planting plans are for each house lot.
Probably saving costs. They probably want to save costs when they were doing the whole thing.
Well, that's why they did it.
Yeah.
yeah, what are the blue lines?
So I believe,
I mean, it jumped into the number 14, said forested cover within the upland review areas shall be maintained to the extent practicable, the proposed limits of disturbance resulting from the proposed modification may be strictly adhered to throughout all phases of lot build out and construction.
the blue indicates pockets of trees additionally left behind. Clearing limits have been established on the plan and were flagged by my land surveyor. So
By pockets of trees, he means 1 or 2 oaks. I mean, they've been respectful as far as like all the dirt on the road. There's a lot of mud and dirt on the road because obviously the property is all dirt. And every day they clean it up. The trucks come down quietly. I mean, they've been respectful in what they're doing, but I just have a lot of concerns because of the vulnerability of this property and just the, what feels like extreme clearing outside of what was supposed to happen. I mean, that was, the whole thing was, it's gonna be, you know, 1 lot at a time, and even if it's 5 lots, but there's, what, 23 lots, and they just cleared it, they cleared them all.
So, I mean, you have discretion as to how you want to proceed forward. I can issue them a fine.
I mean, I know I have to be careful too, this is obviously a conflict for me, because
The other thing that Mr. Bennett and Alvaro has extended is if you guys want to discuss or meet out there and take a look at the site, he's more than open to it.
could we do a site walk as a commission out there?
Sure.
Because I don't want to go by myself.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend going by yourself. I would definitely recommend if you're going to do a sidewalk.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be helpful because, you know, and maybe he has plans to put in some nice trees as he's building each property to kind of replace.
Well, they do have to install on some of these rain gardens, so there should be a planting plan on plans for those. So that is, you know, at least there'll be some landscaping in that regard. Yeah, they'll have, every lot has one of these rain gardens proposed, so I do know that requires landscaping
Mm-hmm.
plantings. I would suspect it'd be your typical foundation plantings and things like that, and maybe not.
Well, I was back there before the rain, and there was every hole that was dug, there was water in it. So there needs to be some uptake of the water, that otherwise there's just going to forever be this issue of water overflowing off these properties once they, you know, I know eventually it'll be stabilized, but I have concerns that just putting a massive house on these small properties is just gonna create a lot of impervious surface, and there's gonna be runoff if they cut the trees down. So they could plant some back if that's the plan. And I'm just kind of curious because it's pretty sparse back there right now.
Yeah, I certainly forward the question on, and I'll do is I'll just plan to schedule a sidewalk at the next meeting.
Okay, yeah, that would be good.
If I'm reading this like this letter correctly, that the clearing limits have been established on the plans, like that they cleared it so that he could, maybe I'm misinterpreting it, just so that he could fly a drone to produce an actual model of the topography? Is that, like, the clearing limits have been established on the plans and were flagged by my licensed surveyor. By doing this, allows me to fly a drone. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what that means either.
If that's,
I guess what he's saying is he flew a drone to kind of look at the overall property to see where material was and wasn't, and how trying to balance out the stuff and keep things stable. I think that's what he's
Okay.
trying to say there. So that's great.
I just didn't know if it was like, that's why they cut the whole thing down, was so that they could
I think what's
get
important
topography. I don't know.
is the note is saying the site works out to be relatively balanced, or material needs to be pulled from the lots to build the roadway and berms from the basins. Without doing this, the job would be an import and export. Meaning they'd have to bring material in to start to build the berms and then export it out. I guess resulting in unneeded roadway traffic if they did it that way. So I think to answer your question as to the clearing and why the basins aren't built, that's why. But I would imagine in the next week or two, again, whether what they did today, I don't think they're out there constructing a basin. I mean, it's possible.
Yeah, because is he saying that he has an overlay somewhere of what he cleared versus?
Well, I think what he's pointing out here is the green line on this plan is what was shown as the limits of clearing. And he left the blue trees in the blue areas. So I think what he's saying is my limit of clearing was up to here, and this is what I left. Which is great.
Is that the?
Because that's more than what was proposed to be.
Is that the upland review area, the green line? It looks like it might be.
No, that's this line here. My cursor's following it. Goes up. Dash, dot, dash line, the 100 foot. So there was clearing on those lots, part of the line. This little scalloped feature, that's the tree line.
Does he show the cul-de-sac area, or not yet?
On this
Yeah.
one. I have a third page on this, which I
Here.
didn't load. I think this one here, when I tried to open it,
Because there's a picture on the back of one.
that third
This is so
one's
tiny.
on. I'll have to ask him to resend it.
To resend what?
There's a third, the call this is the third sheet.
Oh,
So
we
if
have.
you email to me, I got this third sheet here, but I get my computer, there's an error with it. It won't open.
Oh, but we have hard copies of it.
Oh,
Yeah, I just
yeah.
did print it out.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, that's, like I said, my concerns is the clearing the entire property, and I was discussed at length in the meeting minutes that that's exactly what was not going to happen, and it did.
Is this the original builder or
No.
no, it changed?
The original developer actually never owned the land. It was interesting. He had an option on it. Made the application.
So,
Found a buyer.
This is an old thing that I have, but that's the top left there is all the wetlands in blue. That's why I worry about the lot clearing in advance of the infrastructure.
It was like something they did in like the 70s and finished and they added to it.
yeah.
It was, yeah, there was a legal, brothers were fighting, and so it was held up in court, but.
So there's another basin at the end of the cul-de-sac too?
Yeah.
Is that,
Here.
okay.
Yeah.
And there's a rain garden on every property?
Mhm. Yeah, how does, Ledgelight, they look at individual properties? I was just surprised to see a 5-bedroom property, since most of,
I was surprised to hear it was a 5-bedroom.
yeah, it's massive, it looks like a little hotel.
And lights, it's supposed to work out.
I'm very
I guess they work
surprised,
out.
but like compiling all those houses next to each other, does that impact?
They looked at that when they made the application for the subdivision. I recall the applicant doing a nitrogen analysis and said, hey, it was under the 1 or 10 parts per million or 10 million, yeah, I think it's 10 parts per million, in terms of nitrogen at the property line, which is below the state threshold for human consumption. That being said, what may not have been known at the time is there is a threshold for amphibians. That's 0.4. So, so there is a limit to where, okay, the amphibians, again, we regulate wetlands, not amphibians, but understanding that nitrogen would have a potential impact on creatures there.
Yeah, because up to debate, there's vernal pools back there, they said there wasn't, but there were masses back there of amphibians, especially around the cul-de-sac area, so.
So it doesn't necessarily make them fertile pools by
No,
definition,
well,
but
again,
there is a function that
Yeah.
wetlands provide. And I guess if that function
Prevent
is
flooding.
diminished, that would be good. The fact that we've got a 70-acre wetland system just off to the north here is helpful. Minimize the impact on it. And again, that emergency access drive is, you can see. You can see, it comes out here, and you can see the wetland boundary there. So those photographs that I took were probably right along in here, just behind where this pocket of wetland is. So that area, there's a little room, we have a few feet before the wetland. So we'll have to work with them on improving that, bringing that, I think they cleared this swath wider than they needed to.
they did, and I think all the trucks are using that, so it's just getting compacted a bit. I mean, loose gravel will be, once no one's using it, the water will flow better there, but I think it's just being used all the time
That's construction.
with construction trucks, yeah. And so it is wider than I think it was supposed to be. It looks pretty wide.
So I'll work with them on getting that narrowed up. Obviously, the truck's using it, you can see they went off the edges, creating these ruts.
Mm-hmm.
It's a ponding condition, still fenced in, but it's not. So, all right, that's all I have on that for now. I also provided you a brief memo on 8.09 Rockville Drive. Basically, I sent out correspondence to all of them, they don't need to contact over at 9 Rockville Drive. At least,
sorry, did you say they are working on a restoration plan?
Yeah, I
Oh,
talked to the
okay.
landlord, came into the office, she advised me that she hired an engineer at Wenke, and they'll take care of it. Great, after the winter, but it's been about 5 months since that conversation, so I haven't seen the plan yet, so I just reached out to the engineer just to see status report. 137 Planters Road, I'm not sure what the delay is here, but now's the time to plant that lawn.
Yeah.
I think you need some topsoil based on the gravel looking like dirt that's there.
So-
Hopefully, I'm planning to send him a letter this week to ask him to get on that. Ideally, if you can get it seeded before the end of the month, take advantage of the growing season, it's wet weather.
What happens, Gary, if you send correspondence several times, but you're just not getting any response or progress
Then
or
I can send it a order.
and
Make it an order, a cease and desist order, and then that will start, require a show cause hearing. They don't show up there, and we get no response, then we file for an injunction.
okay,
So, yeah, there's a whole,
They can get
Okay.
fined.
yeah, and we can
Two.
fine them.
okay,
I can fine them up to like $15 if the agencies administer larger fines.
okay.
To, I think,
Like a day, right?
Yeah.
Is there-
that's back in the day.
It doesn't really
It's okay.
matter.
I was
Yeah,
just
no,
curious,
there's-
like
there are
I understand you
repercussions.
can get like the cease and desist and
Yeah, $15, 500, 1,000, or something like that.
okay.
So there is recourse.
It just seems like so many times, like some of these have been on here for so long that it's like it just seems like they're being non-responsive. But maybe
It's
not.
probably, it's a combination of my time and their lack of response.
Okay,
It's my ability to stay on them. I can follow up, process all the other stuff that's coming to the office. It's
yeah,
just,
okay, no problem. I was just trying to understand.
yeah, it's, you think about how long it took for the sound apartments just to get, at least they showed progress. It's quicker than the rest of these, but that enforcement action started basically in February. No, February. Some of these started before, Brookfield started prior to that. It resulted in an application which never got approved and withdrawn, and nothing else has happened. The site's been allowed to vegetate on its own, although we were still insistent that they go back and plant something. So I sent them, correspondence saying, hey, can you just plant a couple trees that would a lot of shade, because if you're not going to build a house there,
Mhm.
I think the issue is they need to locate the well on the other lot.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Okay. Do you have anything else? So your motion for adjournment,
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
all those in favor?
I
Aye.